When we decide to move to another country, we often look for a better quality of life, better job opportunities, or simply new experiences, but not all destinations turn out to be as perfect as they seem. In some cases, the difficulties expats face turn into a real nightmare. Today, we're going to look at 10 countries where many people moved and regretted it, whether for economic, social, cultural, or political reasons. If you're thinking about moving abroad, watch on to learn about the challenges that may await you in some countries. Number 1. India is a country known for its rich culture, ancient history, and diversity. For many expats, it may seem like an exotic and exciting place. However, life in India presents a number of difficulties that make many people regret moving there. One of the main problems is environmental pollution. Cities like New Delhi and Mumbai suffer from extremely high levels of air pollution, which can cause respiratory and other health problems, especially for people not used to such conditions. Another serious problem is the traffic jams. The roads are constantly congested, leading to long commutes, stress, and constant exposure to noise and exhaust fumes. This traffic situation not only reduces the quality of life, but is also a source of daily stress. Poor infrastructure is another major obstacle for expats. Power outages and irregular access to clean drinking water are commonplace even in major cities. In addition, public services such as garbage collection and street cleaning often leave much to be desired. And finally, the problem of security, especially for women, is very acute. The high level of harassment and gender-based violence makes many foreign women feel unsafe even in public places. Added to this are cultural barriers that can make it difficult to integrate into the local community and create a sense of isolation. So, the United States of America. The American dream has always attracted millions of people around the world, but for many expats, life in the US turns into a series of trials. One of the main problems is political polarization. In recent years, political divisions have only intensified, leading to a tense atmosphere and conflicts in many states. Expats, especially those whose views do not coincide with the opinion of the majority, find it difficult to integrate into society and feel at home. The healthcare system is another serious problem. Unlike many other developed countries, the US does not have a universal healthcare system. Expats who do not have health insurance or whose insurance does not adequately cover expenses can face astronomical medical bills. Even one day in the hospital can cost thousands of dollars, which creates constant stress. Another cause for concern is gun violence. The number of gun homicides in the US is significantly higher than in many other developed countries, which creates a sense of insecurity, especially in cities with high crime rates. The high cost of living in cities like New York, San Francisco, and Los Angeles also disappoints many expats. Renting an apartment, which can cost more than $3,000 a month, combined with high utility and food prices, makes life in the US very difficult for many. So number 3, Brazil, known for its vibrant culture, carnivals, and stunning natural landscapes, may seem like a real paradise. However, for many expats, the reality is much more complicated. One of the main problems faced by foreigners is the high level of crime. In cities like Rio de Janeiro and Sao Paulo, there are high levels of violent crime, including robberies, assaults, and drug trafficking. This creates an atmosphere of constant anxiety, forcing expats to take serious precautions. Economic inequality is another serious challenge. Although Brazil has made some progress in combating poverty, the gap between rich and poor remains huge. Many expats find it difficult to find a well-paying job, and those who succeed have to put up with a huge difference in living standards. Language becomes another obstacle, and although English can be heard in major cities, the main language of communication remains Portuguese. Those who are not fluent in it may find it difficult to integrate into society and solve everyday problems. Brazilian bureaucracy is notorious for its slowness and confusion. Processing documents, opening a bank account, or resolving other administrative issues can take much longer than expected, which causes frustration for expats. In 4th place, the UK, especially London, is one of the most popular destinations for expats, but also one of the ones people most often regret moving to. One of the main problems is the high cost of living, especially in big cities. In London, rents and property prices can be exorbitant, and expats often struggle to cover their monthly expenses. Added to this are high taxes, which create an additional financial burden on newcomers. Weather is another factor that scares many away. The UK is known for its cloudy, rainy, and cold days. The lack of sunlight for most of the year can negatively affect mood and in some cases lead to seasonal depression, which affects both the physical and mental health of expats. The NHS healthcare system, although free in many cases, suffers from long queues and a lack of resources. For those used to faster and more efficient healthcare systems, this can be frustrating. Socially, expats may also face difficulties in integrating due to the British Reserve. Although English is the common language, understanding regional accents and local expressions can be an added challenge for newcomers. Number 5. China is an economic giant and an amazing country with a rich history and diverse culture, but it also poses many challenges for expats. One of the biggest barriers is language. Although Chinese is the most spoken language in the world, it is very difficult for foreigners to learn. Without basic knowledge of Chinese, everyday life, such as shopping, finding accommodation, or meeting people, can be a real challenge. The fast pace of life in megacities like Beijing and Shanghai can be overwhelming for those not used to such a competitive environment. In addition, the recent slowdown in economic growth has led to fierce competition in the labor market, and expats may face government restrictions that limit their employment opportunities. Air pollution is another major problem in many major Chinese cities. Smog alerts have become commonplace, and expats, especially those with health problems, can suffer greatly from this. Finally, political restrictions and the lack of civil liberties such as internet censorship and government surveillance may seem alien to those accustomed to living in a liberal democracy. These restrictions can give expats a sense of constant control and limit their daily lives. Hold on a second. Japan, with its advanced technology and rich culture, attracts many expats. However, the difficulty of social integration in such a homogeneous society is one of the main problems. Japan is a country with a very closed culture, deeply rooted in traditions, which is why foreigners often feel like eternal outsiders, no matter how long they have lived in the country. The language barrier is another major obstacle. Although English is taught in schools, it is not widely spoken. It can be extremely difficult for foreigners who do not speak Japanese to cope with everyday tasks, such as shopping or going to the doctor. Another serious problem is the cost of living, especially in cities like Tokyo and Osaka. Rents are very high, prices for basic necessities can also be high, which creates a significant financial burden. In addition, Japanese work culture is known for its demanding nature. Long working hours and exceptional dedication to the company can lead to an imbalance between work and personal life, which causes burnout and stress for expats who are not used to this style of corporate culture. Hold on a second. 7. Mexico is a vibrant country with a rich cultural heritage that attracts many expats, but there are also challenges here. One of the most serious problems is the high level of crime, especially in areas affected by drug trafficking. Expats, especially in large cities, have to take extra precautions to ensure their safety, which can make everyday life stressful. Economic instability is another problem. Although the cost of living here is lower than in many Western countries, Mexico's economy is unstable, and job opportunities for expats may be limited. This can be disappointing for those who are hoping for a better life. Corruption is another major obstacle for expats. Having to pay bribes, especially when dealing with officials or the police, can be frustrating and even scary. Finally, the language barrier should not be underestimated. Although English is spoken in some tourist areas, Spanish is essential for everyday communication. Those who do not speak the language can quickly feel isolated and limited in their options, making it difficult for them to integrate. Hold on a second. Canada, often considered a safe and welcoming country, also has its challenges for immigrants. The biggest problem is the high cost of living, especially in cities like Toronto and Vancouver. Real estate prices are sky high, and renting even a small apartment can exceed $2,000 a month, which hits immigrants hard in their pockets. Another major obstacle is that many immigrants have to face the fact that their qualifications are not recognized in the Canadian labor market. This means that highly qualified specialists are forced to take on work that is not in their specialty, which leads to frustration and disappointment. Harsh weather conditions are another factor that is difficult to get used to. Canadian winters are harsh. Temperatures in some regions can drop below 20 degrees below zero. Immigrants who are not used to such extreme conditions may feel physically and emotionally drained. In addition, the Canadian healthcare system, although universal, does not cover all costs. Some immigrants have to pay for certain types of treatment or services themselves, which creates an additional financial burden. 9. France, known for its beauty, culture, and cuisine, also has its challenges, which make some expats regret moving. One of the biggest obstacles is the difficulty of integrating into French society. Social circles are often closed, and expats may feel that they are never fully accepted as one of their own, even if they have lived there for many years. Language is another major barrier. Although French is a beautiful language, many expats who are not fluent in it face difficulties even in simple things, such as going to the store or going to the authorities. French bureaucracy is famous for its complexity. The processes can be lengthy and require reams of paperwork, turning any business, from renting an apartment to obtaining a work visa, into a long and tedious ordeal. The high cost of living is also a problem, especially in cities like Paris. Rent is high, and the cost of services and food can force many expats to live in austerity. 10th place. Belarus is one of the least known countries in Europe, but those who move there often face serious difficulties. The biggest of these is political repression. Under an authoritarian regime, democratic freedoms are severely restricted, and for those coming from freer countries, this situation can be oppressive and frightening. The closed nature of the culture is another problem. Expats may find it difficult to make friends or integrate into Belarusian society, leading to feelings of isolation and loneliness. Economic instability is another important factor. Salaries in Belarus are low compared to Western standards, and finding a well-paying job can be difficult, leading to financial hardship for expats. Finally, the lack of security causes constant anxiety. Although Belarus does not have the same level of violence as some other countries, the combination of political and economic instability creates a tense and unwelcoming atmosphere for foreigners. Moving to another country is always a leap into the unknown. Often, our expectations of a new place do not match reality. These 10 countries pose significant challenges for expats, from economic problems to cultural differences, and many later regret their decision to leave. If you are thinking about moving abroad, think carefully and be prepared for the challenges you may face.